Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the Nidecker Mosquito. The Nidecker Mosquito is equipped with Nidecker's surfy cam rock profile. So what is that, you ask? That is a large rocker section in the nose with camber all the way through the tail. So what that's gonna do is that large rocker section is gonna give you float and that fresh pow, make it so you can turn nice and easy, but that camber section is gonna give you all of that drive and power that you're looking for and a slight bit of pop, but you do have that really tiny tail on it. This board comes in only two sizes, a 148 and a 152. I rode this board at Steamboat Resort where it was a beautiful sunny day. It was a little bit chillier in the morning and the top of the mountain stayed that way pretty much all day, where it was nice firm groomers that you could really lay an edge into. As the day progressed and as you went on towards the bottom of the mountain, it did get softer, borderline slushy out there, but it wasn't a problem. It was honestly a beautiful day throughout. I used my Ride Fuse boots and my Jones Mercury bindings. This board is definitely going to have a directional flex to it because of that long rocker section in the nose and that full camber all the way to the tail. That nose feels definitely softer than the tail does, where that tail is going to be all about precision and power, where that nose is going to be all about surf and fun there. When you do torsionally flex this thing, you're going to notice that it takes a little bit more. Because it is a little bit wider, it takes a little bit more effort to get this thing to twist for you. Now, when we talk stability on it, it is a fairly stable board. I think it has almost two different personalities. When you're riding slow on it, it feels kind of surfy. You can actually feel this nose kind of bouncing up and down a little bit. But the second you put the pedal to the metal and really start ripping this thing, it completely turns into a different board, where I didn't notice this nose moving at all. There was no vibrations coming through or anything like that. And it just felt super precise and actually nice and damp, where I wasn't feeling any vibrations or any chatter coming through at all. I wouldn't expect much from this board just because of how short this tail is. And that's pretty much how it pops as well, where all of that power coming from it is really just coming off of your back foot here. Since you don't have that much surface area to work with, it doesn't return it that much. It is fairly stable on the landings as long as you don't land back seat. I hit a roller, ollied the roller, tried to do a tail drag, forgot there was really no tail on it, almost ended up just going straight back on it. Luckily, I caught these little forks at the end and it brought me back, but just keep that in mind. You don't have a lot, it's not really made for that. Since I have you here, you might as well like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our scheduled programming we have coming out. It's really not made for buttering. Can you do it? Sure, I did. Was it the most fun? No, not really, but we'll go over it anyway. You do have a longer rocker section in the nose, so you can shift that weight over, get that nose to butter a little bit more, but don't expect to pop out or anything like that. Kind of feels a little soggy. Not the greatest. When you go to butter the tail, you're gonna shift all that weight straight back over this tail and just hold like your life depends on it. I wasn't really able to get this thing to butter like to my normal standards, but it will do it. Do I recommend buttering on this thing? No, it's not what it's made for. The Mosquito definitely flies when it comes to carving, pun intended there. I know that was terrible, but we're gonna make it through this. This board is super fun when it comes to carving. Even though it is wider, it does take a little bit more to get those quick carves around. The main thing I can say is if you can drive it from the back foot here, it's a little bit more narrow and it's gonna get over for you a little bit easier. And the same goes for those medium and larger carves. I say keep about 75% pressure on the back foot, about 25% on the front. That's just where I felt it held the best. And honestly, once you do get this thing up to speed, it carves extremely hard. Those medium carves, you can carve uphill, you can carve heel side, you could do whatever you want on this thing and it's gonna hold up for you. Even through those bumps and all that chunder, it had no problem there. On those large carves, I was able to open it up and really just let the edge do the work on it, where keep that pressure on the back foot and it's gonna be totally fine. I absolutely love Euro carving on this thing. Maybe one of my favorite boards to Euro carve on, where I could just dip over, have that toe fully pressed, elbow on the ground, just dragging it, pop up, and just hit it on the heel side, do the exact same thing with that front hand, and this thing will hold for me, no problems. I wasn't getting bucked around or anything like that. It just felt super stable carving, and that's what this thing does so well, and that's what makes it so fun. Rider in mind. This board is made for that person that really just wants to get out there and turn, make those carves. They're not trying to beat all the ski racers out there. They don't need to be the fastest person, but they really just want to soul carve and get low and really just make this thing turn. If you're looking for another way to get involved in the Angry Snowboarder community, head on over to angrysnowboarder.vip. Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I loved carving on this board. Everything else, not the greatest, but you know, it really made me just want to turn out there, where I was riding with my friends and I told them, I was like, come on guys, we're just gonna put the nips to the ground and we're just gonna carve out here. And that's all we did, and it was super fun doing that. As I mentioned before, I tried to tail press a roller. Wouldn't recommend it. I forgot about that, and honestly, I forgot because of how hard this thing was carving earlier, where I was like, oh, it's got a longer tail where I can actually do this. I couldn't, well, I did, but I shouldn't. And honestly, just a really fun carvy, surfy board. It does have the two different personalities, as I mentioned before, so if you want to cruise on it or you want to go a little bit harder, it'll do both for you. If you're looking for that just carvy surfer, right here guys, right here. Comparable boards, the Ride Peace Seeker, the K2 Excavator, and the Jones Stormwolf. Recommended bindings, the Nidecker Kaon Plus, the Jones Mercury, and the Rome Katana Pro. As always guys, I've been your host TC, and this has been my review for the Nidecker Mosquito. If this sounds like the board for you, but you're just unsure of what bindings to throw on it, why don't you go check out our reviews for the recommended bindings.